The Earth, our beautiful home and the only cradle known in the world to protect life, has passed many adventurous days. What are the mountains that have been created in the 4.5 billion years of the Earth's life on this planet, and what are the seas that have disappeared? Let's review the story of this house together. A house that has hosted various living creatures in various eras and has seen various continents. A house that has been inherited by us and has given us all its resources for free, but unfortunately humanity is trying to destroy it day by day with unwise decisions and policies. What you will read next is the story of our house in this endless world. The story begins about 4.6 billion years ago, when the solar system was covered by a cloud of dust and gas that we know today as the solar nebula. After that, over time, the force of gravity caused the formation and rotation of the Sun in the center of this nebula, and after the formation of a star called the Sun. Larger objects began to form and rotate around this star. Then the solar wind carried these objects away from the Sun, and the objects containing lighter elements such as hydrogen and helium were directed to the far reaches of the solar system. The rocky bodies remained closer to the Sun and formed the terrestrial planets, of which Earth is one. The planets Mercury, Venus, Earth and Mars began to orbit their mother star at a closer distance, and the planets Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus and Neptune began orbiting further away from the Sun. In the meantime, what made the Earth different from other planets of the solar system was the placement of this terrestrial planet in the life belt of the solar system. The life belt is a place at the right distance from the Sun where liquid water can flow on the surface of the planet. In addition to the appropriate position of the Earth in the solar system, the balanced atmosphere of this planet and the presence of sufficient oxygen prepared the conditions for human life along with biodiversity. Finally, the Earth was formed about 4.5 billion years ago after the formation of a system around the Sun star. According to researchers, the Moon that now orbits the Earth was also formed about 4.45 billion years ago when a giant planet collided with our planet. In the later stages, it seems that the eruptions resulting from the activity of the volcanic mountains of this planet gradually thickened the atmosphere around the Earth. But at that time, the Earth's atmosphere was full of toxic gases for humans, animals and plants to breathe, and there was no oxygen in it today. After about 500 million years, the Earth gradually started to cool and a solid crust formed on it. Liquid water flowed over the surface until the Earth became the cradle of life. In the history of the evolution of the planet Earth, the land and waters of the Earth have taken different forms and different continents have been created and destroyed. Until about 300 million years ago, there was no news of 7 continents with different civilizations on Earth. At that time, the Earth consisted of a large continent called Pangaea, which included all the land masses of the Earth, and an ocean called Panthalassa. After 50 million years, this big continent started to break up. The regions we now know as Africa, South America, Antarctica, India, and Australia were separated from the vast Eurasian continent by the rift. After that, North America was separated from Eurasia and the ocean separated them. Imagine if the Earth remained the same as it was millions of years ago. You could cycle all the way from Australia to Alaska without stopping, or drive from southern Chile to Scandinavia with ease. But the idea that we have about the continents of the Earth started to form almost 250 million years ago. Although the Earth had a single landmass millions of years ago, there were diverse climatic conditions in different regions of this landmass. For example, the central parts of this land, which was surrounded by mountain ranges, had a dry climate, and the parts by the ocean had a warm and humid climate. Probably, at that time, in the parts of this land that was close to the Earth's equator, the tropical climate and magnificent tropical forests stood out. When the Earth's land masses were unified, organisms had the opportunity to spread over all land surfaces, and after the separation of the continents, they had the opportunity to spread in different climates with different genetic diversity. This continent existed for about 100 million years as the only land on Earth, and during that period, it was the habitat of the ancestors of today's mammals. After that, a large drought happened, and with the beginning of the Triassic era, the Earth witnessed the growth of a group of vascular plants and animals such as fish, crocodiles, birds, and a variety of reptiles and insects. It is interesting to know that the first dinosaurs appeared about 20 million years after this era. Earth's continents are always moving, and by moving their film back and forth, we can simulate the shape of the continents a few million years ago and a few million years later. The reason the continents shift next to each other is because the Earth's continents are riding on a set of continental plates and moving at different speeds. The speed of this movement and displacement of these plates is about 30 millimeters per year on average. Earth's continents are always moving. Today, this displacement is measured even in the smallest dimensions with satellites, but before the invention of this technology, the continents were moving relative to each other. Now, according to the way of current movement, past biodiversity and fossils of different regions, the researchers estimate the form of their placement in the past with good accuracy. For example, the continent of Africa and South America have similarities with each other in terms of biodiversity and geographical features, which makes the idea of their proximity to each other plausible in the past. The folds of the Earth in the huge mountain ranges, which are located in different continents today, have geological similarities with each other, which is a proof of the continuity of the continents in the past. The discovery of fossils of plants and animals whose main habitat is in the water, for example, in the central regions of Iran, shows that these regions were once underwater and on the shores of the ocean. Fossils of similar plants found in different continents are another proof of how the continents were formed next to each other in the past of the Earth. The result of this 4.5 billion year old story is a beautiful planet on which life as we know it now exists. And a planet with similar characteristics will certainly not be found in the short lifetime of humans. Continents are still shifting. For example, the continent of Australia is slowly moving towards Asia, and parts of East Africa are moving away from other parts of this continent. In millions of years, there will be no more blue ocean called the Atlantic Ocean. The African and North American plates will collide, while South America will move closer to Antarctica. Australia reaches Southeast Asia and China, and finally Europe moves closer to the north to find a colder climate than ever before.